Hi everyone, thank you for watching our video. We've got lots of other amazing online courses available on the Morales Method website. Please follow the link in the description to see our other online courses. We're going to do some deep tissue techniques for the hamstring, adductor, quad, and the IT band territory. With regards to the IT band, we're not going to specifically stretch or attempt to lengthen the IT band. What we're looking to do is to affect the surrounding tissue via the IT band territory. So that includes hamstring, TFL, and quadricep. So let's get started. We've got the hamstring here, and we've got Elena here. We're going to do some hamstring work, but before we go into the technique, we need to know what direction we're going to go in. We need to know how we're going to work this particular territory. In this case, I'm sinking into sort of the more proximal part of the hamstring tissue, and I sink into end range. End range is that layer that you get to as you sink in slowly. It's that layer that you get to right before you're being forceful. So as I sink in, I'm going to move in the superior direction, in the inferior direction, and right away I feel this directional resistance in the inferior direction. I can go in the superior again, and when I go into the inferior, Elena, you feel that resistance? Mm-hmm. Great. So I want to work in the direction of resistance. This is a great technique that you can integrate in with your existing modality, your existing work. So I can work this area with my forearm / elbow. And what I'm going to do is move Elena's arm off the table just a bit so that I can have a seat here. And get my forearm elbow and sink in into this area. Again, we're going to sink in to that end range, that most available layer right before it becomes a forceful sink. Once I'm there, I'm going to move again to feel that direction of resistance, move in the inferior direction, and sure enough, I feel that resistance. The move is minute, as you can tell. It's not an extreme move.
Oh, I feel it.
But Elena feels it. So I am now moving in this direction. If I wanted or needed to create a little bit more force, I could straighten up just a bit and lean into this territory. Right now I'm sort of in a semimembranosus, maybe a little bit of bicep femoris tissue. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm moving in the inferior direction, nice and slow. Notice my elbow also is not that far away from my body. I'm pretty close to my body. That allows me to use my body weight to sink in to this tissue. I can also work a little more medially, and when I work a little more medially, I can then start to affect some of the adductor tissue. And notice before I felt for the directional resistance with my hands, I could also feel with my elbow, and I invite you to start doing that because I think it's great to start building sensitivity with your elbow to feel different directional tensions, not just with your palm, knuckles, fingers, but also with your elbow. Here I'm feeling again the same directional resistance in the inferior direction. Is it possible for the directional resistance to be different? Yes, it's possible for it to be different along different parts of a hamstring. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And so here I am going in the inferior direction. I could change my body positioning just a bit. And what I did right now is just change the position of my left foot, allowing me to sink and move little more relaxed position. And off I go in the inferior direction. As I exit, I like to pull out just nice and easily. I think it's important, especially when we're working with deep tissue techniques. If I wanted to use a soft fist, I could use a soft fist like so. And notice in this case, I've got a left hand forward and a left foot forward. If I wanted to use knuckles, I could use knuckles like so. In the video where I show deep tissue techniques for the back, I also show a modification for knuckles where I can support these knuckles with my thumb like that, but in this case I can use my knuckles very easily. My left thumb is just there for support. I'm not really working with my left thumb. And then we can get to the lower part of hamstrings. Same situation. I can feel, sink in and feel for that directional resistance. And notice I'm feeling in different areas. I can feel for directional resistance here, more in the medial part. I can also feel for directional resistance here in the lateral part. And I feel that it's actually a little different. In the medial part, I think I want to work this way, in the inferior direction. In the lateral part, I want to work in the superior direction. So in the medial, I'm going inferior. On the lateral part, I'm going more superior. And I could do that with fingers or knuckles. Right in here. I sink into that spot and I'm going in the superior direction. I stepped away just a little bit so that I can lean in just a little bit more. And when I work in the inferior direction, I could use fingers, but if I needed to bring out a more kind of a deeper tool, I can then also use my elbow. So I'm going to use my elbow in a minute. So here I am. And here I'm definitely more in like semitendinosus territory, the distal part of semitendinosus territory. This would be great also if you were dealing with back of knee issues. If someone felt strain in their pes anserinus, working semitendinosus might help them out. Sometimes runners get issues around that pes anserinus territory, so this technique and working here might actually do them good. Let's bring in my elbow as well in here. I can also modify, so notice instead of sitting on the table, I can also be standing. I have my right elbow working, and I also have my left foot forward. Very much a classic deep tissue technique, classic deep tissue body mechanics. And again, I am working in the inferior direction towards Elena's feet. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Again, I sink into end range. Sinking into end range is hugely important. You get to that layer of availability. But we don't want to be forceful. We don't want to push into it, because then the body may react, the client may tense up, and then it becomes a tug of war. you don't want to do that. You want to be able to slowly sink in and address that tissue that's tight. Nice and easy wins the race here. Doing okay?
Yeah, it's sensitive.
Yeah. When you sink and you move slowly, then you're able to get in there deeper, and what I've heard from clients is that they feel like they're able to take deeper work, deeper than they had previously received. And I think a lot of that has to do with how we approach the tissue and how much we wait before starting to move. Going back up to this area here, I want to feel if there's any change. And it feels, just from those couple of minutes of work, that it feels just a little easier for me to go in that inferior direction than it did when I first palpated. Another way to work this tissue is also to shorten the area, and I can do that by flexing the knee. And I can flex the knee, shorten this tissue, and sink in again. So in this case, if I'm going in the inferior direction, this is how I would do it. If, for example, I needed to go in the superior direction, I might use knuckles, soft fist. In this case, I can maybe use knuckles, and this would help me to sink in there a little further. I could play with knee flexion and extension, and this would give me the opportunity to do a very classic pin and stretch, anchor and stretch that you may have seen in your basic programs. Now remember, in this case here, the directional resistance is in the inferior direction. So if I am going in the superior direction, I'm not really working in the direction of resistance. But I could still be performing a pin and stretch from this point to this point as I extend the knee. If Elena had directional resistance here in the superior direction, my suspicion is that she would feel this move, this anchor and stretch move. She would feel it more. It would be a lot more pronounced than what it is now. Let's try it. Let's go here to this area that was a little closer to the knee, where we felt some directional resistance in the superior direction, I believe, here on the lateral part. So here I go with my right hand fingers going towards Elena's head. With knee flexed, I'm able to sink in. And right now my right hand fingers are going in the direction, in the superior direction towards Elena's head, and I'm slowly extending the knee to do that good old-fashioned anchor and stretch. You feel that, Elena?
Yeah, that's good.
Good, good, good. So, this would be an example of how to do that technique. Remember here, on this side, towards semitendinosus, we had some directional resistance in the inferior direction. So if we did this, and I'm just going to do it here so you see the example, if I moved in the direction of resistance and also extended the knee, so I started with knee flexed, my right hand moving in the inferior direction towards the direction of resistance here in her case, and I extended the knee, it may be giving her a different sensation than the work we did on the lateral part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, that is really much because of the direction of resistance and what we're doing here. So not so much an anchor and stretch in this case.